In a hospital, a doctor is standing beside a patient. Shortly after, he went out to talk to the patient's family. He called Mrs. Larson, the wife of the patient, and told her that her husband was not going to stay much longer.
Is he in a lot of pain?
No. There will be no more.
Mrs. Larson wanted to go back home and bring her son so that he could say goodbye. The doctor hesitated, considering the condition Reverend Larson was in, but she insisted.
Look, I think my boy has a right to say goodbye to his father.
Later, Hal was called to the hospital to say goodbye to his father. Reverend Larson told him to never settle for average and not to be satisfied with routines. He then expressed regret for marrying his mother and finally told him to seek a woman of great beauty and perfect form.
That will put you in good stead with the Lord. It's all in here.
With those words, his father passed away, leaving Hal to grow up with a promise to make him proud.
Make you proud, Papa.
Years later, Hal is now an adult. His life reflects his father's words in the worst way. He goes to clubs and bars trying to approach women, but most of the time, he doesn't get lucky. His best friend, Mauricio, is just like him. Hal then came to Mauricio and asked if he wanted to have a beer, and they went to a bar. As they were drinking, Mauricio announced he was breaking up with his girlfriend, Lindy. Though she was stunning, he said he couldn't stand her long second toe. Hal was shocked that such a small detail could ruin a relationship.
Well, come on. I mean, couldn't she get the toe file down or something?
Hal then mentioned he was finally going out with his neighbor, Jill. Mauricio was happy for him, and Hal went to meet her.
I better get going. I'm going to try to catch her on the way home. See if she wants to get a drink or something.
Later, Hal stopped Jill on her way home and tried to invite her out for a drink. Jill refused, telling him she wasn't attracted to him. Hal told her that not everyone who goes out together has to be attracted to each other, but Jill still refused.
Does he even think about me?
How am I not going to think about you? You live right across the hall.
Hal tried to persuade her to spend time with him for a few days, explaining that he was about to be promoted and wanted to celebrate with her. Jill declined again and walked away, leaving him frustrated. The next day, Hal learned he didn't get the promotion. A woman from Merrill, who was more qualified, got the position instead. Hal acted as if it was okay, even though he was disappointed.
The gal's a proven entity. What the heck are you going to do?
His co-workers, Artie and Jen, tried to lift his mood, but Hal admitted he felt even worse because of the breakup.
What does that mean?
Well, I just thought it was more of a...
Jen pointed out they never even went out together for it to count as a breakup. Jen told him Jill wasn't good for him anyway. She mentioned that Hal's biggest problem was his obsession with appearances and added that he always chased women far beyond his reach.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, she doesn't mean anything by it.
Later that day, Hal met Tony Robbins in an elevator. Recognizing the famous self-help guru, he couldn't believe his luck.
Right? Yeah, give me another handshake.
As they exchanged small talk, Hal mentioned Tony must have been lucky with women, but Tony told him he only had one woman in his life. While they were talking, the elevator suddenly stopped, trapping them for hours. Hal took the chance to vent about Jill and his troubles with women. He described his ideal partner in shallow detail, which made Tony frown.
Oh, don't you think you're being a little bit shallow here in the way you look at women?
When Tony asked about Hal's family, Hal said his mother was funny and played golf every afternoon. His father had died when he was 9, so he didn't remember much about him. Tony found it odd that Hal claimed not to remember much from that age, and Hal explained that his mother believed he'd been emotionally scarred by the loss.
He was great. He's a great guy, and I really loved him, but...
Tony told Hal that his focus on physical beauty had blinded him from seeing people's true worth. He suggested that from that moment on, Hal would perceive only the inner qualities of those he met.
Hang on a second. What if I told you by doing this, you could have the most beautiful women in the world?
As they were standing, Tony pressed his hands against Hal's and suddenly shouted, "Devil!" Startled, Hal jumped back in shock.
Just hang on. Remember I told you we got to jolt your nervous system, right?
Yeah.
Tony then told Hal to relax, close his eyes, and imagine standing on a beach, gazing into a woman's eyes until he could see her soul.
That's excellent.
After work, Hal called a cab, but a woman named Katrina was also about to get in. Seeing this, Hal told her she could take it. Since they were heading in the same direction, she offered to share the ride.
Take this one. So awesome. Thank you. It's terrific.
To Hal, she appeared stunning, and he couldn't stop admiring her. When he told her how beautiful she was, even the taxi driver looked surprised.
Yeah, right. Jesus, everybody in the city's so flattering.
She told him she wasn't from the area and had come from Boston. He asked if she was there for a photo shoot, assuming she was a professional model, which made Katrina burst into laughter. She explained that her grandmother was sick and she was there to help her out. By the time they reached her stop on the east side, Hal asked to see her again. Amused, Katrina agreed to exchange numbers so they could stay in touch.
And, here's my email.
That night, Hal called Mauricio and insisted they go out together. At the bar, Hal excitedly told him about being stuck in the elevator with Tony Robbins, claiming that whatever Tony had done had already changed his luck with women. He said that after the elevator encounter, something in him felt different, and the woman he'd met earlier seemed really into him.
Because you know what? I do feel more confident. Shit.
While they were talking, a man named Walt came over to greet them. It was clear from Mauricio's face that he didn't like the guy. Annoyed, he excused himself to go to the restroom.
Good to see you. How you been?
Good.
Walt sat with Hal and bought him a drink. As they talked, he mentioned that he was now retired, having sold his company to Microsoft, and was out celebrating. During their conversation, a woman approached, and Walt asked if she wanted to join him for a walk. She agreed, and they left together.
Catch you later.
Soon after, Hal's attention was drawn to a woman named Bella. He asked her to dance, and before long, they were laughing and moving with a group of her friends. From across the room, Mauricio returned and was stunned to see Hal happily dancing with several women who, to him, didn't seem attractive at all.
Of all that is holy.
He asked Hal if he needed help, but Hal just told him to relax and come down. Embarrassed, Mauricio tried to pull Hal away, suggesting they go home.
Hey, sorry, ladies. I gotta steal your dance partner here.
Hal, confused by Mauricio's behavior, asked what he was doing. Mauricio said he was trying to rescue him, but Hal didn't understand. He invited Mauricio to join, but Mauricio wasn't interested.
You mean you get the hyena and I choose between the hippo and the giraffe?
Hal went back to the dance floor. Just then, Jill walked in and saw him surrounded by women, leaving her shocked. The next day, Hal called Mauricio to ask what was happening to him. While leaving him a voicemail, he spotted a woman on the street who caught his eye and decided to follow her into a store. He didn't realize she was actually much larger than he perceived. To him, she appeared slim and fit.
Building the parachute?
Trying to impress her, he made a playful joke that accidentally offended her. Flustered, Hal apologized and offered to make it up to her by taking her out for pizza. The woman, Rosemary, accepted, and soon they found themselves sitting together at a cafe.
What do you do for a living, Rosemary?
I'm actually volunteering at the hospital right now.
Over lunch, Rosemary mentioned she was waiting to be re-enlisted in the Peace Corps and volunteered at a hospital while she waited. Hal admired her compassion.
Altrudacious? That's not a word.
When she ordered an impressive amount of food, he decided to order the same, which made her laugh. His constant compliments confused her. She thought he was mocking her, but Hal remained oblivious. When her chair suddenly broke, he rushed to help, earning a warm smile from her.
It's happened before, it'll happen again.
Oh, man.
As they left the cafe, two men began mocking Rosemary. Hal confronted them, thinking they were teasing him about his own weight. He proudly declared how lucky he felt to be with Rosemary, which only confused the hecklers before they walked away laughing.
I'm with her. All right. That's it.
Later, as they were walking, Rosemary gave Hal's leftovers to homeless people, jokingly mocking him for not finishing his food. Hal then asked for Rosemary's number and discovered she was the daughter of his boss, Steve Shanahan.
I see him around the office.
Well, then.
Before leaving, she told him that even if she didn't hear from him, she appreciated everything. A few days later, Hal couldn't stop talking about her to Mauricio, admitting he was nervous about their next date.
Great personality.
Ugly duckling syndrome.
What?
Meanwhile, Lindy approached Mauricio and invited him to a Beatles reunion event, but he quickly declined after noticing her long toes again.
I think I'll pass.
Hal told Mauricio that he had serious issues. Not long after, Rosemary arrived to meet Hal. He greeted her with enthusiasm, while Mauricio stood speechless at what he was seeing.
Is that a members-only jacket?
Rosemary got a call and walked away, as Mauricio made fun of her size, but Hal stayed oblivious. After that, Mauricio left, and Hal and Rosemary spent the afternoon sharing stories about their interests before she took him to the hospital where she volunteered. There, she introduced him to the children she cared for, including a little girl named Cadence.
The cows come home.
Put her down.
Their fun was briefly interrupted by a stern nurse, but Rosemary brushed it off and cheerfully led the kids in a playful kissing game.
Incredible in there. You were so amazing.
As they left the hospital, Rosemary told Hal she was impressed by how comfortable he was around the children, noting that most people got nervous in such situations.
Come on.
When they arrived at his apartment building, he invited her upstairs. Rosemary refused to go in. As they stood talking by the door, Jill came down. Hal introduced her to Rosemary. Jill offered a polite handshake before leaving abruptly.
You've been really cool.
Hi.
Hal insisted Rosemary come inside, but she gently declined, saying she wasn't ready for that yet. She confessed she had recently ended a relationship and was still adjusting to being single again.
With a mug like that, you must be fighting him off daily.
Right.
Rosemary couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling from the way Mauricio had looked at her, but Hal brushed it off, telling her not to mind him. Still, she decided to be honest with Hal, asking him to stop calling her beautiful or saying she wasn't overweight. She explained that those comments made her uncomfortable, but Hal didn't understand.
You have a problem with compliments?
She told him she knew who she was and who she wasn't, yet he kept saying things that didn't match her reality. Hal insisted she was wrong to think she wasn't attractive, which only made things worse. Hurt and frustrated, Rosemary walked away. The next day, Hal confided in Mauricio about how upset he felt. Mauricio mentioned that the whole situation with Rosemary was too good to be true anyway. He said Rosemary's view of herself was completely distorted, and he couldn't figure out why she didn't see what he saw. Mauricio assumed Hal had something to do with that perception, but Hal told him he only ever said she was perfect.
Yeah. Then she got all huffy and told me to grow up.
Yeah.
After some time, Mauricio decided to leave and got up. While he was in the bathroom, Rosemary appeared unexpectedly to apologize for overreacting. Hal, already over the argument, didn't dwell on it. But hearing Mauricio coming out of the bathroom, he quickly rushed her outside.
Why don't we get out of here?
Coffee?
He then took her to a bar. Later, the two went on a date to a public pool, where Rosemary made a dramatic splash as she jumped into the water, laughing, while Hal watched with admiration. Their relationship grew more serious, and soon Rosemary introduced Hal to her parents. As they stood by the door of her parents' house, Hal noticed Rosemary was nervous. He tried to calm her down and joked that she must have been adopted because her father had such a strange accent and they didn't look alike. But Rosemary told him people often said if they put a wig on her father, he'd look exactly like her.
You look at who's here now. Come here, my darling.
Hi, dear.
During dinner, Hal and Mr. Shanahan discussed work. After hearing Hal's new ideas, Mr. Shanahan asked him to prepare a presentation for Monday. When Rosemary and her mother left the table to fetch coffee, Mr. Shanahan's tone changed. He bluntly told Hal to drop the act, accusing him of pretending to like Rosemary. He implied that anyone would only pity her because of her size.
But we won't soon be seeing her twirling the baton, marching along with the dance.
Hal was stunned and angry, especially when Mr. Shanahan mocked his own daughter. Hal fired back, saying it was her father's attitude that caused her to feel so insecure about herself. Mr. Shanahan had nothing to say in response.
Oh, yeah, everything is fine. Just fine.
Later, at Hal's apartment, Rosemary and Hal finally slept together, growing closer afterward. Their affection deepened, though it caught the attention of Jill, who happened to see Rosemary leaving Hal's place and couldn't make sense of it. She later tried to invite Hal to dinner, but he turned her down.
And in summation, I feel that these measures will help JPS.
On Monday, Hal delivered his presentation at work, earning applause from the entire team. Mr. Shanahan later called him into his office, admitting he felt ashamed of how he had spoken about Rosemary. He said his daughter was lucky to have Hal in her life. Hal replied that it was the other way around. He was the lucky one. Impressed, Mr. Shanahan told him he wanted someone like Hal beside him, someone honest enough to tell him when he was wrong. From now on, Hal would report directly to him.
I think you'll do just fine.
That afternoon, Artie and Jen got Hal a cake to congratulate him on the promotion. Hal proudly introduced Rosemary to them. They were shocked to learn she was their boss's daughter. Artie was even more surprised when Rosemary casually helped herself to a large slice of his cake. After she left, Artie and Jen whispered their doubts, assuming Hal was dating her just to get ahead in the company. Artie told him that if he had any integrity left, he should break things off with her. Over time, Hal began working out and seemed happier than ever. But Mauricio became uneasy. He pointed out that Hal's taste in women had completely changed and accused him of only being attracted to those he found unattractive. Hal didn't understand what Mauricio meant. When Mauricio crudely mentioned that Rosemary didn't have visible ankles, Hal became angry, thinking his friend was just being judgmental and afraid of commitment.
Yep, this is exactly what you did with the knockout with the weird frinkly toe.
He reminded him about Lindy and said Mauricio always found excuses to push women away. The argument escalated when Mauricio cruelly claimed that Hal wouldn't even notice Rosemary if she weren't the boss's daughter.
What?
Sometime later, Hal and Rosemary went on a double date with Walt and his partner, who, to Hal's surprise, turned out to be Nurse Peeler, the same stern nurse from the hospital. The group made a quick stop at a gas station to grab snacks before their trip. It turned out Nurse Peeler, whom Hal had always seen as strict and older, was actually quite young and strikingly beautiful. Because of her cold personality, Hal's perception of her had remained that of an unfriendly, stern woman.
Been asking me out for a really long time, and I was always kind of unavailable.
When they finally arrived at a cozy inn in the countryside, the mood turned lively. Hal and Rosemary relaxed with their friends, laughing and talking. To Rosemary's surprise, she spotted a familiar face, Ralph, accompanied by his friend Leah Boy. She cheerfully introduced them to Hal, explaining that they were her old Peace Corps companions.
What's up, bro?
Hey, boy.
Things grew awkward, however, when Hal tried to lighten the mood with a joke that fell flat. Before leaving, Ralph told Rosemary she seemed happy, and once he was gone, she admitted to Hal that Ralph was actually her ex-boyfriend. Elsewhere, Mauricio attended one of Tony Robbins' seminars and managed to talk to him afterward. He asked about Hal and learned that Tony had used hypnosis to alter Hal's perception of people. Tony admitted that he had wanted to help Hal see others differently, but Mauricio was only concerned about how to reverse it.
Brainwashed? Don't you think you're brainwashed? Everything you know about beauty is programmed.
He asked Tony if there was a special phrase that could undo the effect, insisting Hal's career was now at risk because of his relationship with Rosemary. The comment made Tony reconsider whether what he had done was right.
What'd you want to talk to me about?
Meanwhile, Hal and Rosemary went out for dinner at a restaurant. During their meal, Rosemary mentioned that Ralph had invited her to join him on a mission in Carabas. Hal immediately grew uneasy, feeling jealous and insecure, convinced he couldn't measure up to Ralph. Rosemary tried to reassure him that she loved him and couldn't understand why he thought Ralph was so good-looking. Before they could discuss it further, the booth they were sitting in suddenly gave way, and Hal hurried to help her before speaking to the restaurant manager.
Good night, thank you.
While talking to the manager, Hal asked for an extra chair, but she paused to answer the phone. At that moment, Hal's phone rang. It was Mauricio. Over the call, Mauricio repeated a strange phrase, "Shallow Hal wants a gal." Hal was confused and asked why he was saying that, but Mauricio only mentioned he was at Macintosh restaurant before hanging up. When Hal turned around, he found the hostess gone and a man dressed as a woman standing in her place claiming to be the hostess.
Let me apologize about the booth. We are so sorry.
Still confused, Hal walked back to his table and froze. Sitting there was a woman he didn't recognize, large and unfamiliar.
Excuse me.
He asked who she was, and the supposed hostess looked at him as though he had lost his mind. Before Hal could figure out what was happening, Mauricio appeared and quickly pulled him outside. He explained that Tony had hypnotized him and that the effect had just been undone by the phrase.
Hal, come on.
How?
Hal didn't believe him at first and rushed back toward the restaurant. But on the way, he ran into Katrina and realized she looked completely different from how he remembered. That was when the truth finally sank in.
Katrina, how the heck are you?
Later, at home, Hal confronted Mauricio, furious that he had interfered and destroyed his relationship with Rosemary. Mauricio insisted he had only wanted Hal to see her true appearance, but Hal couldn't forgive him. Mauricio then suggested they find Tony to fix things again, but told Hal to stay away from Rosemary until they did, so he wouldn't see her differently.
You need like the jaws of life to get that image out of your head.
Their plan was ruined when Rosemary unexpectedly knocked on Hal's door. Panicking, Hal tried to come up with a reason to send her away. She refused to leave, so Mauricio smeared petroleum jelly around Hal's eyes to make it look like he had a severe eye infection.
Oh, my poor baby.
Yeah.
Unable to see her, Hal played along, and Rosemary eventually left, worried but reassured that he was resting. Days passed, and Mr. Shanahan approached Hal at work, asking why he hadn't called Rosemary. He said his daughter was beginning to feel anxious, thinking Hal was avoiding her. Hal quickly covered, claiming he had just been overwhelmed with work and would contact her soon.
Okay, then.
In truth, he and Mauricio were still desperately trying to locate Tony to redo the hypnosis, leaving Hal unable to face Rosemary until then.
And then when he found out it was really a guy, it didn't matter, because he already loved her.
One afternoon, Rosemary called Hal to say something felt off between them. Her voice was soft, but distant. Hal tried to calm her, saying he was just dealing with a few things and that everything would soon return to normal.
Bye.
A few days later, Hal reluctantly agreed to go out with Jill, just to stop her from pestering him. They sat across from each other at a restaurant, and Jill tried to hold his hand, making him uncomfortable.
Mr. Shanahan, how are you this evening?
At that exact moment, Rosemary walked in with her parents for dinner. Seeing Hal and Jill together broke her heart, and she ran to the restroom in tears, not realizing Hal had just rejected Jill. When Hal later bumped into Rosemary near the exit, he didn't recognize her. As she walked away, he went to the payphone and called her, unaware that she was only a few steps away, listening to his voice from the other end. Too hurt, she hung up.
What? Hello? Rosie?
Days later, Mr. Shanahan confronted Hal, demanding that he stay away from his daughter. He explained that Rosemary had accepted a new Peace Corps assignment and added that she and Ralph were seeing each other again. Hal tried to defend himself, but her father refused to listen. Determined to make things right, Hal went to the hospital to find her, only to learn from Walt that she had left early.
Hi.
There, he saw little Cadence, the girl Rosemary cared for, and realized for the first time that the child's skin was badly burned. It hit him how shallow he had been, how much he had judged others without seeing who they really were. He confessed to Cadence that he had been fighting with Rosemary, and the child sweetly told him to buy her a gift to make peace. Later, Hal met with Mauricio, who finally opened up about his own fears. He admitted he had always been terrified of women. Nervous and embarrassed, Mauricio revealed a small tail on his lower back, explaining that doctors had refused to remove it. Hal assured him it wasn't as terrible as he thought.
You think it's like a puppy dog?
As cute as a button.
Feeling more honest with each other, Mauricio agreed to drive Hal to the Peace Corps office. At the office, Hal ran into Leoboy, but didn't recognize him at first. He also spotted Ralph and was startled to realize that the man he once envied didn't look nearly as handsome as he had imagined.
I came here to congratulate you.
On?
Despite that, Hal congratulated him for supposedly getting back together with Rosemary, only for Ralph to deny it. Ralph said he hadn't even been invited to her farewell party. Without hesitation, Hal rushed to Rosemary's house, bringing Ralph, Mauricio, and Leoboy along.
Amen to that.
Inside, he spotted a woman he believed was Rosemary and, overwhelmed with emotion, kissed her in front of everyone. To his horror, Mrs. Shanahan appeared, who looked remarkably similar to her daughter and demanded to know why Hal was kissing their housekeeper.
It's me, Mr. Shanahan.
I have some things to say to you.
Realizing his mistake, Hal turned to the real Rosemary and apologized, pouring his heart out in front of everyone. He told her he truly loved her and wanted to spend the rest of his life making things right. Rosemary, holding back tears, explained that she was leaving for Carabas that night. Hal immediately declared he would go with her.
What?
Yeah, it's true, Rosie.
Mauricio then stepped forward, saying that Leoboy had already sworn Hal into the Peace Corps. Touched and overwhelmed, Rosemary kissed him goodbye before their departure. As they prepared to leave, Hal tried to carry her to the car, but she was too heavy for him. Laughing, Rosemary lifted him instead and carried him out herself. They drove away together, ready to start fresh. Meanwhile, Mauricio met a cheerful woman who adored dogs. When he invited her out for a drink, She happily agreed. As they walked away together, Mauricio wagged his small tail, smiling as the two disappeared down the street.